I recently read the short story I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison. There was a particular piece that just blew me away, and I wanted to share it with you today and see if we can kind of dissect it a little bit and figure out what was so good about it. Just to give you a little bit of context, if you haven't read it, and I definitely recommend that you do read it, but you don't have to read it before you watch this, it's a sci-fi short story. It's about a machine created by humans that kind of achieves sentience, and there's 5 humans left on Earth, and this machine kind of treats the humans like its plaything. It really tortures them and puts them through horrible ordeals just because it hates humanity so much. So there's one particular bit that it's just a paragraph that really stood out to me and gave me chills. I'm going to read that, but I'm also going to read the paragraph that leads into that just to kind of help give a little bit more context to the scene. So, here we go. We had given... Oh, by the way, the machine is called AM. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced because it's all capitals. It might be AM, but I'm pretty sure it's AM. We had given AM sentience. Inadvertently, of course, but sentience nonetheless. But it had been trapped. AM wasn't God, he was a machine. We had created him to think, but there was nothing it could do with that creativity. In a rage, in frenzy, the machine had killed the human race, almost all of us, and still it was trapped. AM could not wander, AM could not wonder, AM could not belong, he could merely be, and so with the innate loathing that all machines had always held for the weak, soft creatures who had built them, he had sought revenge, and in his paranoia he had decided to reprieve 5 of us for a personal, everlasting punishment that would never serve to diminish his hatred, that would merely keep him reminded, amused, proficient at hating man, immortal, trapped, subject to any torment he could devise for us from the limitless miracles at his command. And then this next paragraph is the bit that I really felt just encapsulated everything. He would never let us go. We were his belly slaves. We were all he had to do with his forever time. We would be forever with him, with the cavern-filling bulk of the creature machine, the all-mind, soulless world he had become. He was earth, and we were the fruit of that earth. And though he had eaten us, he would never digest us. We could not die. We had tried it. We had attempted suicide. Oh, 1 or 2 of us had. But AM had stopped us. I suppose we had wanted to be stopped. I want to start by saying he does a lot of telling rather than showing in this particular bit that I've read out. It's not all like that. There's characters and there's dialogue and there's definitely showing what they do within this story. This bit is telling us. It's telling us this is what AM is. This is what he's done to us. But that paragraph, which we're going to dissect now, I just think is a great piece of writing. The whole story is great, but that particular bit, I just think is great. It's a real powerful piece of writing. So let's kind of have a look at it. The first thing that I noticed when I decided I'm going to talk about this paragraph in the video is the repetition. So pretty much every sentence starts with he or we. He would never let us go. We were his belly slaves. We, he, we, and then, but AM had stopped us. I suppose we'd wanted to be stopped. So that is repetition, but it's not just pointless repetition. He's really trying to hit home the dichotomy between he and we. It's him versus us. It's the machine versus the humans. He, we, he. And they're also quite short sentences, which whenever you kind of dissect something like this, you're in danger of projecting a bit too much thought into it. You know, he probably just wrote that without thinking too much about why he's doing it, or maybe he did, who knows. But for me, the short sentences kind of show that it's this really kind of pithy just struggle that's never going to really lead anywhere. It's just bang, bang, bang. It's him doing something and us fighting against it, and him doing something and us fighting against it. If it was really long sentences, maybe that would work as well. Maybe that would kind of show that there are these really arduous struggles. But for the most part, it's this really kind of pathetic struggle. Like it's so pointless. This struggle that they're going through. They're not trying to achieve something great. They're just trying to fight back against what this machine is doing to them. And the other thing that I really love about this section is his use of words. What you want to kind of do as a writer is use specific imagery. If you use kind of wishy-washy imagery, you're not creating as vibrant an image as you could be. So for example, instead of saying dog, you could say Labrador if it's essential to the scene, or if it's useful to the scene that we have a bit more information about this dog. And so let's see what Harlan does here. So, we were his belly slaves. We were all he had to do with his forever time. We would be forever with him with his cavern-filling bulk of the creature machine, with the all-mind, soulless world he had become. So, and there's more, but those particular bits, belly slaves, forever time, cavern-filling bulk, creature machine, and all-mind, soulless world, they're kind of all doing a very similar thing. What he's sort of doing there, so let's look at the first one, belly slaves. Now, that's probably a phrase that most of us have never really even thought about or even read before, belly slaves. What is a belly slave? Now, we understand what it means. They're the slaves that are in the belly of this machine, because it's a big kind of cavern and they're inside it. Now, a less confident writer might have put, we were the slaves in his belly, or we were the slaves, or we were his slaves, or we were inside his belly as slaves. Now, he was confident enough to just put belly slaves, as if that is a thing that people just say. He knows you're going to get it. He knows you're going to understand what it means, and without needing to put those extra words, we were the slaves inside his belly, and kind of dilute it, he was confident enough to really pack that punch of, we were his belly slaves. I think the temptation when you're a beginning writer, or even an advanced writer, is to write in such a way that's so clear that it's almost standard, and you don't want to take these kinds of risks about putting belly slaves, because let's face it, that's not a normal thing to say. And we probably worry a little bit as writers, if I put belly slaves, that belly slaves isn't a thing, people aren't going to get what that means. To just have the confidence to say, actually, no, people will get what it means. We know what belly means, we know what slave means. And even though that's not a normal thing to say, and that's maybe not the standard way of putting it, it might not even be grammatically correct, I don't know. He's using belly, the noun, like it's an adjective. It doesn't matter. We get what it means. And again, the next one, we were all he had to do with his forever time. Now, forever time, we get exactly what that means. Is that something that people say very often? Probably not. We say eternity, or we just say forever, or we say until the end of time. But it's almost quite mechanical the way he's saying that, forever time. So you've got belly slaves, forever time, and then this bit isn't quite the same. Cavern filling bulk, cavern filling, like that's hyphenated, like it's a thing that we say all the time. Cavern filling bulk, I think, paints a really good picture. But the next bit is creature machine. Again, that's not a very standard thing to say, creature machine. He says it like that's just a thing that we say. And a lesser writer, again, might say something like of the creature-like machine, or the machine that was a creature, or you can see straight away how that's not as good, and you might need to we would probably find a completely different way of writing that. But he's encapsulated it so purely, creature machine. That's what it is. It's this machine that's a creature. Rather than having, that could be a whole sentence describing the fact that this machine is like a creature, but he's just encapsulated it there, and it's such confident writing, and for that reason it's just so pure and so great writing. With the all-mind, soulless world he had become. All mind, again, maybe that's something that people do say a lot, but I certainly don't hear it very often. The all-mind, soulless world he had become. And then we move straight on to, soulless world. He was earth, and we were the fruit of that earth. I find that particularly powerful. Just these humans have just become nothing more than fruit. They've become this thing to be picked and eaten and discarded. And he is the earth. The machine is the earth now. And the fact that we could not die, we had tried it, I find it particularly chilling. The fact that they can't even die. They've tried it and they can't. if I was going to make a criticism, I think that the final sentence that I read, so it says, we'd attempted suicide, one or two of us had, but AM had stopped us. I suppose we had wanted to be stopped. Now that final sentence, it might be brilliant. I could definitely be wrong in my opinion. It is just an opinion. I think that final sentence weakens it a little bit. I think it could have been stronger. I suppose we had wanted to be stopped. So I suppose we'd wanted to be stopped from killing ourselves. To me, that after all that harrowing description kind of lets up a little bit, gives a bit of mercy, maybe prematurely. It kind of shows that they do still want to live. Whereas if his aim was to show that they're completely at the end of their tether, they just want to die, then that sentence could have been stronger. But then I've read an analysis of this work where he says he believes it's a very optimistic, upbeat piece of work. So, or certainly the ending is. So maybe that's fine. If that's what he's trying to get across, after all this stuff, they still do want to be stopped from killing themselves, then that's great. That works. I prefer. I think that kind of mercy and that kind of upbeat twist on it is good. But I would normally, just for me, save that until closer to the end. There's still quite a few pages to go by this point. I'd save that mercy for the end. Really grind the characters down to their worst moment and only bring them back at the very end. Because otherwise, what you kind of do in there is you're given premature hope, and it's sometimes more exciting to feel that there's absolutely no hope and then show that there still is. But that's just me. But I just had to dissect that. I'm sure there's so much more we could say about it. I think he's put some really specific words in there. Things like belly, slaves, cavern, bulk, creature machine, soulless, earth, fruit. Even just the word fruit. Some people would have put we were his subjects or something like that. But fruit conjures so many different images. Soft as well, isn't it? Fruit. It's like, like a human. I guess a machine would see us as just this squidgy thing. A great short story. Even the title, which is borrowed from a drawing that his friend did. I have no mouth and I must scream. If there's a more chilling title than that, I would definitely like to hear it. Definitely check that out. I hope you like my analysis of it. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more videos of analyses of stuff like that, because I find it really interesting to kind of really pick apart. It's great talking about big parts of story themes and stuff like that, but to sometimes really get into the nitty gritty of it and see if we can work out why something is so good. I really enjoy that. So leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and check out these two videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers guys.